The number one question I've been getting lately is, what does the alliance mean for college football? Let's get into it. First and foremost, once Texas and Oklahoma went and decided to leave the Big 12 for the SEC, and Greg Sankey kind of pulled those strings, it was very clear that the other conferences within college football had one of three options to choose, okay? That they could do one of three things: stand pat, form a super conference of their own, or align or partner with one another. Let's just walk through those three potential actions. One is stand pat, don't do anything. Okay, just sit there and watch. And guess what you're gonna watch? The imminent demise of your own conference. Because one is growing, right? The power, the revenue, the influence of the SEC is growing. And they will eventually, if left to their own accord, start to swallow up other valuable entities to make themselves bigger and better, which is not their fault, right? That's kind of the structure of the sport. You are incentivized to look after your own. And that's what we are left with in college football. So it's not their fault. They did what they should do, but now the option is yours. And if you stand pat, you're just going to be sitting there and waiting until the biggest brands in your own conference are going to leave to go form another super conference. Okay, so that's option number one. It's not a good option. Option number two, form a super conference of your own. Well, I don't think that that's really available to the Pac-12 or the ACC, respectively, like a lot of people in those leagues, but they aren't going to garner the same type of leverage in a media rights negotiation to command the dollars that would force other big brands and valuable brands to leave their current contracts and go and partner with those leagues. So that leaves those two out, which leaves the Big Ten. They are powerful enough. They can command enough dollars and revenue to pull other powerful institutions and programs and valuable entities into their conference. So the Big Ten could be a super conference. So why not go that route if you're the Big Ten? Well, a couple of different reasons. I don't believe that their chancellors and presidents wanted to go poach, in particular, the Pac-12, a league that they've been in partnership with dating back decades and decades with the Rose Bowl. They didn't want to do that. They didn't want to go and basically kill another conference in order to make themselves bigger. You could say, well, Joel, that sounds a little bit too noble. Well, there's another aspect of this as well, which is the academic side. And you might roll your eyes at the academic side, but trust me when I tell you, the chancellors and presidents that are making these decisions, they care who their other partners and members are of their conference. Okay, so you don't want to just start going and grabbing other schools because you don't know exactly what the accreditation of the academics are of those institutions. So that's not a great plan. Number two, one, it's not afforded to the Pac-12 and the ACC, and the Big Ten just didn't want to do it. Leaves the third option, which is partner. So now we get to what the alliance actually is and what it means for college football. First and foremost, you have to understand that they were forced into this alliance, okay? So while there's not a lot of details of this announcement and there's not an agreement on paper, it is very important that these three entities, the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC, are going to partner. And I believe that their partnership or alliance really is going to come down to two things. They're going to talk about a lot of things, right? The well-being of the student athlete and partnerships on academics and so on and so forth. But the alliance, rest assured, is about two things. Number one, you have to firm up a voting block on the College Football Board of Managers to press back against the influence of the SEC and make sure that the direction of the postseason moving forward is not exclusively what the SEC wants. So you need a voting block on that College Football Playoff Board of Managers that's going to vote on things like media rights, structure of expansion, timing of expansion. And those entities, Pac-12, Big Ten, ACC, had to form an alliance in order to block the destination of the SEC and what they were doing with the college football playoff. Okay, that's pretty clear, at least to me. The second part of the alliance is going to be the part that was vaguely touched on, but not touched on in any detail. And that is the scheduling partnership. Folks, those three conferences desperately need to grow revenue. Why do you need to grow revenue? Because the SEC is growing revenue at really an exponential rate. So you have to take a look at the areas in which you can maximize your revenue or draw some more revenue out. What's one of those areas? The non-conference schedule. It has been left and laid bare. The NFL maximizes their schedule all the way through. College football, we still let athletic directors schedule games out a decade in advance. It's absolutely insane. You don't maximize revenue. You don't maximize value by allowing some athletic director to schedule out a game a decade in advance. You know how you maximize revenue? You form a partnership in scheduling. And if it looked like an equity-based schedule, where champions face champions, second place teams face second place teams, third place, fourth place, fifth place, and so on, now all of a sudden you're increasing the valuable games, the amount of valuable games by a factor of 5, 6, maybe even 7-fold. Well, guess what happens then? Your media rights partner is going to pay you more money because you're drawing more eyeballs to more valuable properties. So rather than Clemson playing East Carolina Technical University in September, how about Clemson plays Ohio State and Oregon in the non-conference? Now you're talking about value. Now you're talking about a position in which these conferences are putting their teams and their athletic directors in a position to get more fans into the stands, knowing that the game is going to be more national. You're going to get different types of teams coming to your city. I think that is a huge win for college football. Not many people look at this sport from a global perspective. Again, they're incentivized to behave selfishly and somewhat short-sightedly. This alliance is going to take everybody out and just let them look at the nature of college football from a 30,000-foot view. It'll allow them to vote together, but more importantly, for you, the fan, it allows them to schedule together. Do you want to see better games more often? Then you want to root for this alliance to happen. Champions versus champions, second place versus second place. Where you finish is who you play the next season. That will be the biggest factor of whether the alliance can be successful moving forward in college football. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.